Adin Ross just broke. He's begging the internet to stop. After a week of pure destruction, he's out, done, finished. And it all started with one rapper he should have never mentioned. Doechii didn't just win this beef, she ended a whole career. This is how it happened. Everybody thought this was just another streamer beef. Adin Ross talking reckless, nothing new, right? He's been doing this for years. Clout chasing, stirring drama, walking away untouched. That was the version everyone expected. But this time, something shifted. The internet didn't just clap back, hip-hop culture clapped back. And when Doechii's name got dragged into it, everything changed. Because what started as a diss spiraled into the biggest public breakdown we've seen from a streamer this year. Adin's not just losing followers, he's losing millions, partnerships, respect. And now he's begging for it all to stop. Let me break down exactly how this all started, because the details matter here. It wasn't even Doechii who fired the first shot. She dropped a track called Denial is a River. Bars for days, lyrical flexing, and buried in one verse, there's a line, an indirect jab. No names mentioned, but folks online, they connected dots. They said it was aimed at industry plants, fake rappers, grifters. And Adin Ross, he took it personal. Now here's where it gets wild. Adin didn't just respond, he went full meltdown mode. He hopped on stream and started ranting, calling Doechii an industry plant, saying she's manufactured, claiming her success isn't real. And his chat? They ate it up, hyped him up, made him feel untouchable like always. But this time, the response wasn't what he expected. TMZ picked it up within hours. Social media exploded. Hip-hop Twitter, they don't play when it comes to defending their own. And Doechii, she's beloved, she's respected. She's the culture's rising star. So when Adin came for her, he didn't just come for one person. He came for an entire community. And the receipts started rolling in immediately. Fans turned into full-blown investigators. They pulled up old clips of Adin contradicting himself. They found moments where he praised industry plants in the past. They exposed how he built his whole career riding waves, never creating his own. Online detectives went frame by frame through his streams. They studied his body language, his tone, his desperation, and they clocked it. This wasn't confidence. This was insecurity masked as arrogance. Then, Doechii responded, but not the way Adin thought she would. She dropped another track, Girl Get Up, pure bars, no features, no gimmicks, just 3 minutes of lyrical destruction. And in it, she didn't even say his name. Didn't need to, because the energy said everything. She talked about rising above noise, about people who profit off negativity, about how real talent always outlasts clout. And that broke Adin. Because he realized she wasn't playing his game. She wasn't feeding into the drama cycle. She was simply better. And the internet saw it too. Comment sections flooded with support for Doechii. Memes clowned Adin relentlessly. Even other streamers started distancing themselves. Joe Budden spoke on it. Academics stayed quiet, which says a lot. The culture unified. And here's the kicker. Adin tried to double down. He went live again, tried to defend himself, but this time, his own audience turned on him. Chad was calling him out. Donations were trolling him. Subscribers were leaving in real time. He watched his empire crack live on stream. Reports say he lost over $1 million in partnership deals that week alone. Brands pulled out, sponsorships evaporated, and the emotional toll? You could see it in his eyes. The bravado was gone. The loudness was forced. He was spiraling, and everyone was watching. Then came the breaking point. Adin posted a video, a rant, but this time it wasn't aggressive. It was desperate. He said he's done dissing Doechii, done talking about her, done with the whole beef. He claimed people only hated on him for clout, that everyone milked the moment, that he was the real victim here. But nobody bought it, because the math didn't add up. His own fan page instigated the beef in the first place. His chat pushed him to go harder, and when the backlash hit, he wanted to play victim? Nah, the internet doesn't forget that fast. And Doechii, she stayed winning.
Girl Get Up debuted at number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100, first song to chart in 2026. No major label push, no radio play, just pure skill and cultural momentum. That's power, that's influence, that's what real artistry does. Meanwhile, Adin's stuck in damage control mode, begging for peace, asking for forgiveness he hasn't earned. And for the first time in his career, he's actually facing consequences.
Now let's get into the motive, because this is where everything clicks into place. Adin Ross didn't attack Doechii out of nowhere. This was deeper than a random beef. This was about jealousy, insecurity, and a career that's been crumbling behind the scenes. Let's rewind. A few years ago, Adin was untouchable. Streaming numbers through the roof, collaborations with Drake, hanging with Kanye. He was the bridge between hip-hop and streaming culture. Brands wanted him, rappers wanted clout from him. He had power. But that power, it was always borrowed, never earned. Because Adin never created anything original. He rode waves, he inserted himself into existing narratives, he weaponized controversy for views, and for a while, it worked. He made millions, built a platform, became a household name. But the cracks started showing. First, the state gambling sponsorship controversy. Reports surfaced about how much he was profiting off promoting gambling to young audiences. Critics called it predatory. Brands started distancing themselves. And Adin's defense? Deflection, blame shifting, never accountability. Then, his association with toxic figures. He platformed people who got canceled elsewhere, gave voices to folks the culture rejected. And while that got him views, it also got him labeled. He became the streamer who'd do anything for attention. No morals, no boundaries, just clicks. And financially, things weren't as clean as they seemed. Industry insiders say Adin's income dropped significantly over the past year. Sponsorships dried up, streaming revenue declined as competition increased, and his lifestyle? Still expensive, still flashy, but the money coming in? Not matching the money going out. So when Doechii started rising, it triggered something in him. Because Doechii represents everything Adin isn't. She's talented, respected, authentic. She didn't need controversy to build her career. She didn't need to platform toxicity. She just rapped, and the culture embraced her for it. Meanwhile, Adin's watching someone half his follower count get more respect than he ever did. Someone who doesn't need gimmicks. Someone who's actually good at what they do. That kind of comparison, it eats at you. And here's where it gets psychological. Adin built his identity around being untouchable, around never losing, around always having the last word. But Doechii exposed the lie. She showed that real talent doesn't need volume, that the culture will always protect its own, that clout without substance eventually collapses. And Adin couldn't handle that reality, so he lashed out, tried to tear her down, weaponized his platform like he always does. But this time, the weapon backfired. Because hip-hop culture is different. It's protective, it's intentional, and when you come for one of theirs, they come for you tenfold. Let's also talk about the Drake connection, because that matters here too. Adin and Drake were close. Public friendship, streams together, mutual promotion. But after Drake's losses and his own beefs, that association became a liability. Because Drake's been taking L's, his credibility's been questioned, his moves have been scrutinized, and Adin, he's been right there beside him, echoing the same energy, the same arrogance, the same refusal to admit fault. So when Doechii dismantled Adin, it felt familiar, like another moment where someone who talks the loudest gets humbled by someone who's just better. And the parallels, they're impossible to ignore. Both Adin and Drake built empires on volume, on inserting themselves into every conversation, on weaponizing their platforms against critics. But when real talent challenges them, they crumble, they deflect, they play victim, and the culture is tired of it. Adin's meltdown isn't just about Doechii, it's about years of unchecked arrogance finally catching up. It's about a system that rewards toxicity until it doesn't. It's about the moment when the internet collectively decides, enough.
And that moment is happening right now. Because Adin's not just losing a beef, he's losing relevance. His brand is tainted, his reputation is ruined, and every time he tries to fight back, he just digs deeper. Meanwhile, Doechii's career is skyrocketing. Brand deals, chart success, critical acclaim. She's everything the industry wants right now, and Adin is everything they're moving away from. That contrast, that's the real story here. Not just a beef, but a shift, a changing of the guard, a moment where the culture said, we're not doing this anymore. We're not rewarding this behavior. We're not platforming this energy. And Adin Ross is the example, the cautionary tale, the proof that eventually consequences catch up.
But here's the part that hits different, and it's what people aren't talking about enough. This beef didn't just hurt Adin, it hurt innocent people around him, and that's where the real damage lies. See, when you have a platform as big as Adin's, your words don't just stay online, they spill into real life. And in this case, they put people who had nothing to do with the beef in the crossfire. Doechii's been public about the harassment she faced, not just from Adin, but from his audience. Death threats, doxing attempts, hateful messages flooding her DMs. And for what? Because she made music? Because she exists as a talented black woman in a space that's supposed to celebrate that. But it goes deeper. Her family got dragged into it. Friends, collaborators, people who just know her. They became targets. Because that's what happens when you weaponize an audience. You don't just attack one person, you unleash a mob. And that mob doesn't care about context, about truth, about humanity. And watching Doechii handle it, that's what makes her different. She didn't lash out, didn't spiral, didn't play the victim. She just kept going, kept creating, kept winning. And that grace under pressure, that's what real strength looks like. But let's be real, it shouldn't have been necessary. Because Adin knew what he was doing. He's been in the game long enough to understand how his words land, how his audience moves, how the cycle of harassment works. And he did it anyway. Because views mattered more than people. Because engagement mattered more than ethics. And now, he's facing the emotional weight of that. Because reputation damage isn't just professional, it's personal. It's waking up knowing millions of people see you as a joke. It's losing respect from peers. It's realizing you burned bridges you can't rebuild. And Adin's feeling all of that right now. You can see it in his recent streams. The forced energy, the lack of confidence, the way he avoids certain topics. He's not the same. Because getting humbled on this scale, it changes you. But here's the thing. This isn't a redemption arc moment. This isn't where we feel bad for him. Because he had chances to do the right thing, multiple chances, and every time he chose ego over empathy, volume over vulnerability. So now he's sitting in the consequences, and those consequences include isolation, loss, regret, and the knowledge that he could have avoided all of this if he just respected the culture, respected Doechii, respected boundaries, but he didn't. And now the emotional toll is public, the breakdown is documented, the fall is permanent. Meanwhile, Doechii's thriving, loved and celebrated, protected by a community that sees her value. And that contrast, that's justice. That's the culture taking care of its own. That's proof that eventually, good wins. Now let's get back into the evidence, because there's even more that came out after Adin's Meltdown video. Online detectives didn't stop. If anything, they went harder. And what they uncovered, it's damning. First, financial records started surfacing. Not full documents, but enough. Screenshots from leaked DMs, industry gossip, estimates from analytics experts, and the consensus? Adin's been bleeding money for months. Reports say his kick deal, the one that was supposed to secure his future, it's under review because brands don't want to be associated with controversy anymore. Not this kind. Not when it involves attacking beloved artists. Not when the culture turns against you. And the numbers? They're staggering. Estimates put his losses at over $1 million just from sponsorships pulling out. That's not counting the decline in streaming revenue, the drop in merch sales, the lack of new opportunities. But here's where it gets even crazier. fans also dug into Adin's past statements, and they found contradictions. Lots of them. Remember when he called Doechii an industry plant? Well, turns out he defended Lil Nas X using the same formula. He praised Lil Pump's come-up. He celebrated artists who had major label backing. But when it's Doechii, suddenly it's a problem. Why? Because she's a black woman, because she's talented, because she doesn't need him. And the internet clocked that hypocrisy immediately. Then there's the voice analysis situation. Yeah, this got technical. Some fans literally ran audio comparisons between Adin's confidence streams and his recent desperate ones. They measured pitch changes, tone shifts, speech patterns, and they found significant differences. The kind that suggests stress, anxiety, emotional collapse. One Reddit thread broke down his body language frame by frame, showed how his usual bravado was replaced with fidgeting, averted eye contact, defensive postures. And they compared it to past streams where he was untouchable. The contrast? Shocking. But it's not just fans doing this. Industry figures started speaking out too. Joe Budden addressed it on his podcast, said Adin crossed a line, that attacking Doechii wasn't just disrespectful, it was strategic stupidity. Because Doechii's backed by the culture, and when you go against the culture, you lose. Every time. Even academics, who's usually Adin's ally, stayed suspiciously quiet. And in this industry, silence speaks volumes. It means you're distancing yourself, protecting your brand, letting someone fall without catching them. And then, Doechii herself gave an interview. Subtle, classy, but pointed. She was asked about the beef, and instead of going in, she just smiled, said she's focused on her album, on her art, on her legacy. And then she added, people reveal themselves, and the culture always protects real ones. That line, it went viral, because it wasn't aggressive, it wasn't petty, it was just true. And truth hits harder than any diss track. Meanwhile, Adin's trying to salvage what's left. He apologized, sort of, in that non-apology way where you say sorry but blame everyone else. He claimed he was misunderstood, that people twisted his words, that cancel culture is out of control. But nobody's buying it, because the receipts are everywhere, the clips are saved, the screenshots are archived, and the internet, it never forgets. And here's the part that's truly wild. Girl Get Up didn't just chart, it became a cultural moment. Rappers started referencing it, TikTok used it for motivational videos, producers remixed it, and every time it played, it was a reminder that talent wins, that authenticity wins, that Doechii won. And Adin, he's stuck watching it happen, watching his opponent rise while he falls. And that psychological torture, that's worse than any diss track because it's permanent, it's documented, it's undeniable. Industry experts are now calling this the biggest streamer L of 2026, bigger than any other controversy, because it's not just about losing a beef, it's about losing credibility, losing respect, losing your place in the culture. And once you lose that, you don't just get it back, not with an apology, not with time. You have to rebuild from scratch. And Adin, he doesn't have the foundation to rebuild on, because his foundation was always controversy, and that currency, it just expired. So now he's in limbo, not big enough to ignore the hate, not small enough to disappear, just stuck. Watching his career crumble in real time, watching Doechii ascend, watching the culture move on without him. And that's the real evidence. Not just clips and screenshots, but the shift, the cultural shift that says, we're done with this. We're done rewarding toxicity. We're done platforming people who tear others down for clicks. Adin Ross was the test case, and he failed spectacularly.
Now, let's talk about the ripple effects, because this beef didn't just impact Adin and Doechii. It sent shockwaves through the entire streaming and hip-hop landscape. First, other streamers started getting nervous, real nervous, because if Adin Ross, the guy with millions of followers, the guy who seemed untouchable, can fall this hard, then nobody's safe. Not if you're out here moving recklessly, not if you're attacking the wrong people. And you could see the shift happen overnight. Streamers who normally talk reckless, they started watching their words.
started adding disclaimers, started distancing themselves from controversy, because the Adin situation proved something important. The internet will unite, and when it does, you don't win. Then there's the Drake connection again. Let's revisit this, because Drake's been quiet, and that's unusual. Normally, when one of his people is under fire, he speaks up, defends them, backs them publicly. But with Adin, nothing. Radio silence. And industry insiders say that's intentional, because Drake's dealing with his own reputation issues, his own losses, and associating with Adin now, that's not a good look. So he's cutting ties quietly, letting Adin fall, protecting his own brand. That's cold, but that's business, and it shows how quickly things change. One day you're streaming with Drake, next day he won't return your calls. There's also been chatter about other female rappers speaking up, not directly about the beef, but about the larger issue, about how women in hip-hop constantly have to deal with disrespect, harassment, people questioning their legitimacy. Megan Thee Stallion tweeted something cryptic. Cardi B liked a post supporting Doechii. Glorilla shared Girl Get Up on her story. And while none of them name-dropped Adin, the message was clear. The culture's standing with Doechii, and by extension, standing against people like Adin. Even male rappers chimed in. J. Cole posted a quote about respecting artistry. Kendrick's camp shared Doechii's music. And while these might seem like small gestures, in the industry, they're cosigns, they're protection. They're the culture saying, we see you, we value you, we got you. And Adin? He's not getting any of that. No cosigns, no protection, no allies stepping up, because nobody wants to be associated with a sinking ship. There's also been discussion about platform responsibility. Should Kick have intervened earlier? Should they have guidelines about streamers attacking artists? Should there be consequences built into contracts? Because right now, streamers operate in a gray area. They can say almost anything, attack almost anyone, and platforms profit from the controversy. But when it backfires like this, the platform suffers too. Brands pull out, advertisers get nervous, reputation tanks. So maybe, just maybe, this moment forces a larger conversation about accountability, about ethics, about what we're willing to platform in the name of entertainment. And then there's the fan response. Adin's fan base is fractured. Some are still defending him, calling this cancel culture, saying people are too sensitive. But a significant portion, they're done. They've moved on, found new streamers who aren't mired in controversy. And losing your core audience, that's career ending. Because once trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild, especially when you've shown your true colors, especially when you've proven you care more about ego than ethics. Meanwhile, Doechii's fanbase is growing exponentially. New listeners discovering her music, old fans becoming super fans, industry figures vouching for her. She's in the perfect position, right before a major album drop, with cultural momentum, with unanimous support. This is how stars are born, not through manufactured moments, but through real ones, through standing firm, through letting your work speak, through trusting the culture to protect you. And that's exactly what's happening. So what does all of this mean for the bigger picture? Because this isn't just about one beef. This is about culture, about power, about the future. What we're seeing here is a fundamental shift in how the industry operates. For years, streamers had unchecked power. They could say whatever, attack whoever, and face minimal consequences because their audiences were massive, their reach was undeniable, and the industry needed them. But Doechii proved something crucial. You don't need streamers, you need culture. Because culture is louder, culture is more loyal, culture is more powerful. And when you have culture on your side, no amount of followers can compete. No platform can override that. No controversy can bury you. This is also a moment for women in hip-hop. For too long, they've been disrespected, questioned, attacked, and expected to just take it, to stay silent, to play nice. But Doechii didn't play nice. She played smart. She let her music speak. She let the culture defend her, and she won, decisively, publicly, permanently. And that victory, it's bigger than her. It's for every woman who's been told she's not good enough, not real enough, not deserving enough. It's proof that talent and authenticity will always outlast noise and controversy. We're also seeing the death of the any attention is good attention mentality. Because for years, that was the game. Go viral, say something shocking, ride the wave, profit from the chaos. But Akiden just proved that doesn't work anymore. Not when you cross the wrong lines, not when you attack the culture, not when you forget that attention without respect is just noise, and noise eventually fades. The industry's taking notes, brands are taking notes, platforms are taking notes, and the message is clear. We're moving toward accountability, toward consequences, toward a culture that rewards substance over spectacle. And for upcoming artists, this is a blueprint, not on how to beef, but on how to navigate it. Doechii showed you can win without being loud, without being messy, without compromising your integrity. You just have to be undeniably good at what you do and trust the culture to do the rest. This moment also exposes the fragility of cloud-based careers. Akiden built everything on controversy, on proximity to famous people, on being loud in the right rooms. But when that's your foundation, one crack and it all collapses. Meanwhile, Doechii's career is built on skill, on artistry, on respect, and that foundation is unshakable. Because even if the internet turned on her tomorrow, her talent would still be there. Her work would still speak for itself. That's the difference between a flash and a legacy. And right now, we're watching both play out in real time. So where does Adin go from here? Because this isn't over, not really. He can say he's done, he can beg for peace, he can claim he's moving on, but the damage is permanent. And the internet, it's not forgiving, not this time. Industry insiders are speculating about what's next. Some say he'll try to rebrand, maybe apologize more publicly, maybe distance himself from toxic figures, maybe pivot to a different type of content. But here's the problem. Trust is gone. And without trust, you can't rebuild. Not authentically, not in a way that matters. Others think he'll double down, that after some time passes, he'll come back loud, controversial, trying to reclaim relevance through chaos, because that's all he knows. That's his playbook, and people rarely change. But if he does that, it'll backfire, because the culture's watching now, and they won't let him slide. Not after Doechii, not after seeing what happens when hip-hop unites. There's also talk about legal implications, because some of the harassment Doechii faced, it crossed lines, and her team's reportedly exploring options. Not publicly, but quietly, because there are consequences for weaponizing an audience, for inciting hate, for causing real harm. And if that happens, if legal action drops, Adin's not just facing career collapse, he's facing real-world consequences, financial, legal, permanent. Meanwhile, Doechii's preparing for world domination. Her debut album is dropping this year, and based on everything we've seen, it's going to be massive. Critically acclaimed, commercially successful, a cultural moment. And when that happens, when she's standing on stages, winning awards, being celebrated globally, Adin will still be sitting in the aftermath, watching, regretting, knowing he could have avoided all of this. Because that's the real tragedy here. This didn't have to happen. He could have just respected her, stayed in his lane, let her shine. But ego got in the way, insecurity got in the way, and now he's paying the price. Some fans think this is the end of Adin's career, that he'll fade into irrelevance, that this L is too big to recover from. Others think he'll survive, that his core audience will stick around, that controversy always finds a way to profit. But here's what we know for sure. He'll never be the same. The aura's gone. The untouchable persona shattered. The power transferred. And Doechii, she's just getting started. This was just chapter 1, and if this is how she handles adversity, imagine what she does with momentum.
So there you have it. The complete breakdown of how Adin Ross crashed out, how Doechii became untouchable, and how hip-hop culture proved it's still the most powerful force in entertainment. This story's still unfolding. More details dropping daily. More reactions coming in. And honestly, I don't think we've seen the last of this, because Doechii's album is coming, and when it drops, this moment will be referenced, analyzed, celebrated. And Adin, he'll have to watch it all happen, from the sidelines, in silence, knowing he played himself. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Adin can recover from this? or is his career permanently stained? And what about Doechii? Do you think this moment solidifies her as hip-hop's next superstar? Also, do you think other streamers learn from this? Or will someone else make the same mistake? Let me know everything. I want to hear your takes. And listen, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Seriously, make sure you smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications because this story is not over. We're covering every update, every twist, every moment. And if you want more deep dives like this, check out the suggested video next. We're breaking down how Bruno Mars is about to shake up the entire music industry in 2026. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. But before you go, remember this. In an era where noise wins, substance still matters. Where controversy pays, integrity pays more. And where clout is everything, culture is eternal. Doechii proved that, and we all got to witness it. Stay locked in, stay aware, and remember, the internet never forgets, so move with respect, move with purpose, and never underestimate the power of real talent. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe out there.